Welcome to the Midlife Men podcast with me, Philip Briscoe. In this episode, I'm joined by Jonathan Boulware, who turned a lifelong struggle with obesity and the loss of his mother to it into a mission to help others with his approach to taking control of your body, takes control of you, and doing this through mindset, motivation to create lasting change. So welcome to you, Jonathan.
Thank you for having me. It is certainly a pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward to our conversation. Thank you.
Well, as you know, one of the first things we do on this podcast is asking my guests to talk about their own lived experience of what we're going to talk about. So I wonder if you could perhaps start by talking about your own story. When did your struggle with obesity begin?
When I was in college, when I was in high school and college, I was always fairly fit and in good shape. And then at some point, I started to lose control of my body, slowly over time. But it really didn't take a hold of me until I was a little bit later. After I graduated from college, I started working and started noticing that I was putting on the weight, and it wasn't just from a physical challenge, but just from a mental challenge. How badly I felt about myself, and I just felt like that I was failing, even though I was doing well in my career. I just never got this sinking feeling that I was failing myself. Did
you find that the more weight that you put on, the more difficult it was to do anything about it? Did you just think, well, I'm this weight now, let's just carry on?
I felt, not just carry on, but I did feel a sense of hopelessness. I felt this would never happen. I can distinctly remember looking in the mirror many times saying, hey, how did I get this way? And just focusing on so much weight that I had to lose and having no idea how to do it. And this just feeling of frustration and anger just came over me. Like, how did I let myself get into this particular situation? So that was my feeling. I never think I accepted it mentally, but I let it beat me up completely.
And I guess it was kind of overwhelming. Was it the thought of having to kind of get rid of the weight?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely overwhelming. And not just overwhelming when I would look, obviously I mentioned looking in the mirror, but just everything reminded me, the clothes you wear, how uncomfortable you wear, just walking, sitting, just constant reminders from a physical standpoint that you're carrying all this weight, and the mental just never left me. And that was just really depressing for me.
So you have, and we'll point to your website, you've got a picture of you on the website. How much did you weigh at your heaviest?
Oh, that was over, I have several pictures on the website, but the one that is posted up there is about close to 300 pounds.
And so what finally made you decide to do something about it?
Well, what happened was my mother suffered from obesity for a number of years. And in December of 2013, she had been on blood thinners, and she had got a wound, and the wound would not heal. So in February, the following year, we had to put her into a rehab clinic. And so I was sitting there telling, hey, but Mom, you can lose this weight. We're going to work. We're going to work through this together. And then something happened to me. I was sitting in my office, and on my left side of my body, I felt this tingling sensation from the bottom of my left foot all the way up. I remember it going all the way up to my side of my lips. And I ran to the bathroom, threw water on my face, and after a few minutes, I felt fine. But it scared me. I went to the doctor. He said, hey, I can't find anything wrong with you. Other than you need to lose weight. So physically I was fine, but mentally I was a wreck. So I started to tell my mother, I started to think to myself, how can I help my mother if I'm 300 pounds? And how am I setting an example to her? And then so I started writing little motivational notes to her based upon my experience, and those all based upon my emotion. But then in April of 2014, she said, Jonathan, it's not going to help me. My body is winning this battle. Please continue forward. Like I said, my last good conversation. 2 months later, she passed away. And during that time, I started thinking, what is it about our lives that even though to change our lifestyle would save our lives, but we can't do it? I couldn't do it. My mother couldn't do it. What is it that's stopping us from doing this? And at that point, I set up on a mission to say, I'm gonna find the answer to that question for myself, my friends, my family, and provide people with a solution. That was the turning point for me when she passed away, and I was staring at myself. And at that time, I had a young daughter.
So how did you go about doing that? How did you do research? How did you go about understanding that problem?
Yeah, I did. So one of the first things when I made that sort of declaration to myself, I realized I didn't really know anything. I mean, I knew, okay, you got to lose weight, but what does that mean? How do I deal with the feelings of overwhelm? How do I deal with the feelings that I feel this is hopeless? And so one of the first things that let me go back and learn. So I wrote my book, which was based upon my emotions, but then I became a certified personal trainer, certified health coach, level 2 master coach, behavior change specialist. And I did those things because not necessarily to have their credentials, but I wanted to learn about the body, the mind, all these different things that would allow me to move forward. And so I really took the next few years to really understand. So when I put together a plan for myself, I would know what I was doing. And Philip, what I was really looking for the answer to was, how do I deal with, I feel like a failure. I feel like there's nowhere to go. I have this hopelessness. All these demons are rising up inside of me saying, you can't do this. Why are you even trying? And so that was my mission. I mean, I knew I could learn about, hey, you got to run on the treadmill or you got to lift weights and do all those things, but what's going to stop me when I look in the mirror and I say, you're never going to do this. Why are you even trying? And that's what I sought the answer to.
And what did you, I mean, obviously, unfortunately your mother passed away, but what was that point where you put on your trainers, you went down to the gym? How difficult was it just to start that physical journey?
It would, the fit, once I was able to really establish my approach, where I didn't focus on weight, I didn't focus on what I look like in the mirror, I didn't focus on those things. And I started to focus on my why and the person that I wanted to be in the life and develop my plan around that. That's when I started the most progress, because I didn't look at, I need to lose 10 pounds, 20 pounds. That was never my goal from that point forward. And once I got away from that mindset, then I started to see the success, not just physically, but mentally. Mentally, I became very much stronger.
Did you visualize where you wanted to be? Did you set yourself goals at this point? What was the motivation?
Yeah. So the biggest thing I did is, who do you want to be, Jonathan? What is the person that you want to come? And James Clear talks about this in his book, Atomic Habits. Determine the person that you want to become. And really the two things. Once I acknowledged that I had a problem to solve, I knew what the problem was. I determined my why. And then I also determined the person I wanted to become. But Philip, the most important thing that I did was that I forgave myself. I forgave myself. I showed myself self-compassion. I really stopped talking about the self-body shaming and beating myself up. I focused on that. And when I started to focus on that, then everything else, it was not easy, but it became a lot easier. So I completely got away from the scale. I want to lose 10 pounds. Jonathan, forgive yourself. Show yourself self-compassion. Be patient with yourself. And that's when I really started to see the changes.
So people who want to, in this case, lose weight, get into shape, get physically, but mentally, it doesn't start then with losing the pounds. It starts with the I guess the mental approach and changing.
Absolutely, that's my belief. As a matter of fact, I coach people. You should never set a goal, your ultimate goal to lose 20 pounds or 15 or whatever it is. And the reason why is because, number one, you're not in control of that anyway. I mean, you could do all the working out, but you have no control over what your body does. And so the other thing is, typically what people do in order to lose that weight is not sustainable. And so that's why a large percentage of people that do lose weight, they put it back on. And so what I focus on is, what is your why? Who's the person you want to become? And start developing the habits and goals to support that person. And really, so you don't worry about motivation. It's just a part of your life. It's just who you are. And so when it becomes who you are, then you don't have to worry about, I'm not motivated. I don't really feel like doing this today. It's just part of your life. And so it takes time to get there, but once it's there, it's very difficult to go back.
What are some steps you can take then? Because I imagine some people listening to this might, connect with what you're saying and perhaps be in a situation where they want to change something. But, the demands of their everyday life, they've got commitments at work, maybe family, money, financial pressures, and then, whatever else is happening around the world, on the macro level. How do you find the kind of mental strategy to set yourself on this, path to success?
Well, the first thing that I did and what I recommend people do is make a declaration that your health is the number one thing in your life. It's more important than anything in your life, more important than your job, more important than financial strength, more important than all of that, because the obvious answer is if you don't have your health, none of those things are going to matter. And so what happens is when you make health the number one thing in your life, just like anything else is wildly important to you, you're going to do things that support that. And so health is not an add-on. It's not something, hey, I'll do if I have time. It's something that you focus on every single day. And the decisions that you normally would have made to sabotage your health or to put health second, you start making decisions other ways. And so that's the first thing that I would advise people to make that declaration. And the other thing, Phil, it feels good when you do that. It gives you a mental strength when you start to focus on yourself. And so that's one of the things, is to change your mindset, because then it's easier to find the time to walk, or to, if you want to go to the gym, if that's your thing, you go to the gym. It's easier to find the time to do those things because it's part of your mindset. So that's one of the very first things. There's more steps to that, but that is the very first thing.
And what about people thinking, well, that's maybe I would feel selfish, if I was doing that at the expense of spending time with my family or doing those extra hours at work. How do you kind of have that internal conversation?
Well, what I tell people is, look, it's a lot of times it's not at the expense of, because that is the natural thought. Well, if I declare my health the number one thought, then that means I'm not going to have time with family and not time with kids. No, that's not what it means. What it means is the times that you would normally say, the times that you would normally say, I'm not going to go on this walk because I don't feel like it, or something that you put at a priority instead of your health, that maybe that doesn't have to be the priority at that moment. Look for those moments to where you would normally put your health second, and start there. So, for example, if you normally drop your kids off to school, I wouldn't say, well, hey, I'm going to do this instead of drop my kids off to school. But maybe after you drop your kids off to school, there's 15 minutes after that, or 20 minutes, where you normally would not have focused on your health. Take advantage of that. Take advantage of those particular moments. That's where I recommend people to start. Look for those small opportunities to where you hadn't done that before, whatever that is, and start that process, and build from there.
And what about, you take this approach, it's all very exciting, and perhaps you start to see some early changes, but then, after a month or so, how do you stay motivated and avoid feeling a bit overwhelmed by it all, or actually making sure you've embedded it into your life, as opposed to a kind of, burn quick because it's exciting and then.
Well, here's the thing. You said it right. You want to burn it into your life. There's several things. First thing is, as we talked about earlier, who's the person that you want to become? Think about your why. Who's the person that you want to be? And then once you determine, so for example, for my thing, I wanted to be one of the healthiest at the time, 57, 58 people on the planet. That was the person that I wanted to become. And my why was I wanted to be there for my daughter, for my family. And so I started to develop my goals and my habits around that thought process. And so and small goals, meaning that I didn't say, look, I'm going to change all these things at once. I'm not going to go from 0 to 60. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to make micro goals, small changes. And the most important thing is I'm going to look for progress in areas that you normally don't look for progress. For example, if I ate 5 bad meals a day, rather than if I didn't do that, that was a complete failure. Maybe on this day I had 4 bad meals, or I had 3 bad meals. Well, that I celebrated that success. That was progress to me. The fact that I did not have the whole day where I was eating horribly, but I had a few hours of success. So I started to look for progress in areas that you normally don't look for progress. And so once putting all those together, it was a lot easier for me to not be overwhelmed, to stay motivated, because really it became a part of my life. So my goal was to eliminate motivation in the sense that this is who I am, this is a part of my life, and I really don't need to be motivated because it's just part of who I am. That takes time. That's not something that's going to happen tomorrow, but that is the mental process that I went through.
So be realistic, I guess, about progress and how it fits into your life. Otherwise, it's probably not going to succeed.
You have to absolutely be realistic. Realism is because there's so many times I would wake up in the morning and say, okay, this is it, Jonathan. I'm going to get up. I'm going to start working out 5 in the morning. I'm going to eat 4 great meals in a day. I'm going to do all these wonderful things. And guess what? It never happened. Or it would happen for a day or two. It never happened. Or I was never able to sustain that. So rather than do that, say, you know what, I'm going to focus on just the small. Instead of eating 5 meals good today, I'm just going to do 2 meals. And if the other 3 meals aren't as good, I'm not going to worry about that. Instead of, hey, I'm going to go work out for 2 hours, I'm going to walk for 10 minutes. I normally would sit on the couch, I'm going to walk for 5 minutes. And that little progress starts to build momentum. And it starts to become a very awesome feeling.
So I know you haven't got a magic wand, but if you start to take this new kind of positive mental approach and set goals and everything else, will you see the weight come off? Will that happen anyway if you're starting to address your kind of mental strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, for me and for some of the people that I've had a chance to work with, the weight not only does not come off, I mean, it comes off, but it comes off in a way you don't even notice. A lot of times you don't even notice that you're making this type of progress because, again, we don't really focus on weight. I focus on the things that you can control. And the reason, let me go back to that again. The reason why I don't focus on weight or a scale is because no matter what you do, you can't control whether you lose 20 pounds. But what you can you have 100% control over. Hey, am I going to walk for 5 minutes? Am I going to eat this instead of that? Am I going to tell myself when I look in the mirror, I'm going to have a positive thought instead of a negative thought? You are in control of those things. And all of those things are the ones that are going to determine whether you work out or you eat right or all those things in the long term. So if you can get control over what we call behavioral goals, the things that control your behavior that you have 100% over, then that starts to measure the success. And then the outcome goal will take care of itself. I promise people that it will take care of itself.
And what about if you, what if you fall off the wagon? What if, you start well and then, it doesn't go as well? I mean, do you just kind of retrench? Do you slightly change your method? Was it not right for you? What's the best approach?
Well, one of the approaches I have is every 2 weeks, which is part of a program that I created called 432 Playbook, where every 2 weeks you've set some minor goals. So when one of your minor goals is, hey, I'm going to eat breakfast every day. I'm going to eat a healthy breakfast every day. And so in 2 weeks, you take a look at that and say, well, did I accomplish that goal? And let's say you did fall off the wagon. No, I didn't do it for the last 2 weeks. So the first thing is you don't beat yourself up. Say, let's evaluate. Let's see what happened. What were the things that caused you to not do that? And really just attack that one specific thing. Hey, I didn't eat breakfast for 2 weeks because of X, Y, and Z. And so really focus on that. Rather than, hey, I'm a failure, I'll never be able to do this, which is what I would do, fall into a sense of hopelessness. Let's just focus on that particular goal that you set. There's a reason why we did not hit that behavior. Let's talk about that because that's a real thing. It does happen. No one's going to be 100% motivated 100% of the time. You're not going to achieve your goals 100% of the time. Things happen to throw you off track. But the key is to have a plan when you get thrown off track, how you're going to get yourself back on track. And the first key is not to beat yourself up. That self-compassion that I talked about.
And a lot of men that I interviewed for this podcast, they talk about the strength of having a kind of community or a brotherhood, or call it what you want, not doing it by yourself. Does that help, especially when you're talking about your health and weight loss and getting fit, as well as all the mental approach? Does it help if you're doing it with other people?
It helps if you're doing it with people that support your effort, and which is hard sometimes because sometimes you're not around. But will they answer your question? Absolutely. Absolutely. Community, support, because it's hard. In my book, I talk about you should never do anything alone as far as when it comes to this type of journey. Someone picking up the phone, calling you, visiting you, hey, you can do this. That is what that type of encouragement is absolutely wonderful. Yes. But the right kind of support, as opposed to sometimes you're not in an environment where people are positive about what you're doing and they don't support what you're doing. And that can be a little tricky. That's a little harder to navigate. But in answer to your question, support is critical, and the people support you on your journey. And I would never recommend someone do it alone.
And I wanted to ask you about there's a lot of weight loss medication, jabs on the market these days. A lot of people are turning to that. So how does that fit into your kind of behavior change plan? Because in a way, you will lose weight because you're suppressing your appetite and whatever else the drugs do. But presumably for your approach to work, you can't just rely on that. You need to be changing your attitude.
Yes, and for people that are doing the weight loss drugs, yes, from a physical standpoint, it is going to work because it's going to suppress if you don't eat and you don't eat as much as you used to, your body is going to cannibalize itself to provide the energy that it needs to survive. So you are going to physically lose weight, but you still need to engage in lifestyle change in order to stay healthy. So there are some health gains by using some of these weight loss drugs from my research. But at the end of the day, if you do not change the underlying reasons or the lifestyle changes that got you into the situation, then when you stop the weight loss drugs, high percentage of people will put that weight back on because they're not solving the underlying problems. That's the first thing. The second thing is it's still important to be very healthy while you're taking these drugs, meaning the nutrition that your body needs, that your body's designed to extract from the foods that you eat to support you. Exercise is so much more important than just losing weight. It has so many health benefits. People sometimes call it the natural vaccine. So even though you may be losing physical pounds by weight loss, it's important to maintain your health, mental health, physical health by doing lifestyle change. And any doctor from the people that have done that I've worked with, they will tell them you still need lifestyle change, even though you're taking the weight loss drug.
And for you, how long did it take you then? So you were at 300 pounds at one point. How long did it take you to get to a point where you, first of all, were at a weight you were comfortable with? Or did that not matter and it was more about your mental state? You were happy to reach your goals?
The weight didn't matter in the sense that the other thing I'm going to suggest to people is they go see their doctor and get their understand what's going on inside their body. Because you truly don't know how healthy you are, even if you feel fantastic, until you know you're pre-diabetic, what's your cholesterol, all those different things. So it was important for me to get that information, so where I knew where I was physically, because I didn't focus on the weight. Weight was more of a mental thing that I was accomplishing, that I could actually turn my life around, that I could actually feel good about myself, that I could actually felt like that I was going to live a functional, healthy life. So whatever the weight was, at that point, it didn't matter to me as long as I was healthy physically and I was healthy mentally. But for me, it took about, I want to say about 3 years. And the reason why I say 3 years, that's a long time, but that counted the time where I was doing my certifications, where I was learning, where I was doing all those things. When I had that in place, when I really understood how to put together my journey, it was pretty quick from there. I mean, now I'm at a point now where I don't ever worry about ever going back. I don't ever worry about long-term falling off the wagon because it's a part of who I am. It's a part of my life. So for people to make it a part of their life, it won't, it generally, I mean, everyone's different, of course. But the upside to living this way, the time that it takes to get there, it's worth it. It is worth the investment. It is worth the mental, physical investment because it's hard to describe. It's such a great feeling to know that I don't ever worry about, hey, I'm ever going to go back to where I was. I don't worry about that at all anymore.
And what about if we look at things from a macro perspective for a second? It's very easy to eat badly. There's a lot of terrible food that's priced at low price points that's affordable for most people. And it's easy, isn't it? You only have to go, I'm in the UK, but go to the local supermarket and there are aisles full of ready meals, which are packed full of, high levels of carbohydrate and sugar and, salt that people just don't need, but it's convenience. How much is the market to blame, or the corporate world? Because it's a fight, isn't it? You have to remain strong and dedicated, not to kind of get caught up in buying the wrong stuff.
The market does not help. I mean, at all. I mean, if you drive down probably any major city, eat late, great. The foods that aren't healthy for you are the cheapest foods. You can order stuff immediately, and they can have it delivered to your home. So the access to those types of triggers and foods and types of things, unfortunately, is never going to go away. But to answer your question, it does not help and the other part that doesn't help is to eat healthy. It's typically very expensive. Well, to eat anything now, it's pretty expensive, but especially if you want to focus on healthy foods and cooking foods and the time it takes to cook, it's a lot more work to do that. And that's why I feel it's really important um, to make it a part of your life rather than a goal as far as, hey, I'm going to do this because I need to be healthy. No, I'm a healthy person, so this is a part of what I do. And so once you make that transition, then it becomes much easier because you're not gonna be able to change the environment. You just can change how you respond to the environment. And I'm a healthy person, so it's not as I don't eat that burger because I need that burger. I eat it because I want it today, but I don't necessarily need that. And so that's why I really focus on changing you as a person as far as who do you want to become, setting your habits and your behaviors around that because those triggers are not going to change.
So we talked earlier on about, initial steps that you can take. What else can you do, to help you, achieve your goals, to help you, we're talking about losing excess weight. What else can you do that's a kind of tangible step in the right direction?
Well, one thing I have this thing where I talk to people about things that you typically don't hear. But when I was in my state of hopelessness and I look in the mirror and I say, man, I'm never going to do this and I'm not capable, that started to really, that self-esteem, lower self-confidence started to seep into the other parts of my life where maybe I'm not capable of this either. If I can't do this, how am I going to be able to maintain a healthy career? And so to get yourself out of hopelessness, what I focused on then was superpowers. And let me to explain what that means. Everybody on this planet has something that they do really, really well. I mean, really well that it's probably innate to who you are as a person. And so in part of my research or part of my training, I learned that it's important for people to feel capable. It's important for people to feel like, hey, I'm good at something. And so one of the things I teach people to is, what are your superpowers? And what do you do really well? And design something around that. It may have nothing to do with, hey, I want to lose 20 pounds or your weight, but it makes you feel good about yourself and what you're capable of. And once you start getting that momentum, take yourself out of that sense of hopelessness and you realize, yes, I am capable. Yes, I'm a good person. Yes, then those things as far as lifestyle change becomes so much easier because those mental blocks aren't stopping you. So I hope that, because again, it's not go to the gym, we're going to treadmill. It's these things though that get you out of your mindset so that you do go to the gym and so you do walk and all those type of things.
And, for men, even after, late 30s, 40, into 50s and beyond, your body does change. It's more difficult to lose weight. Perhaps you feel that you don't have the strength or the muscle tone that you used to have. Perhaps, you think I'm never going to get rid of this, this stomach I've got. How do you kind of motivate men to think beyond that? Because, in midlife, it's often more difficult, for all sorts of reasons that I've just said, to motivate yourself to exercise.
Well, what I do is I teach people understand what's going on inside your body. Even though you look in the mirror and you see if you have a stomach, you say, well, I'm not going to lose this stomach. But when you walk and you're walking and you're exercising, you're getting healthier and inside your body getting healthier. And as you get older, especially, men and women, but as you get older, obviously things aren't going to work as well as you get older. That's just a part of aging. But when you start to move your body, you start to exercise and you don't focus on, hey, my stomach is still there, but I'm getting healthier. You still can build muscle. Muscle strength's important, not necessarily for how you look, but the fact that for your metabolism, for your functionality when you get older. Having that muscle strength is really important, your body composition. So we really focus on the things that have nothing to do with what you look like physically, but the changes that are going on inside your body. I'll give you a quick example. There was a client of mine who was pre-diabetic. He went to the doctor, said, "Oh my God, he's pre-diabetic." His A1C, I think, was 6.2 or whatever the case may be. And he was focused on what he looked like in the mirror, of course, and said, "Man, I said, well, let's not focus on that. Let's just focus on what your doctor told you to do." He said, "Start lifting weights in order to get to reverse your pre-diabetic condition." And that's what he did. He just focused on that one thing. And Philip, I'm here to tell you that he pretty much looks the same, but inside his A1C dropped 3 points. And so he's no longer pre-diabetic, but if you looked at him physically, you think he was pre-diabetic, but that did wonders for him. So he was like, "I'm getting healthier." So now going to the gym for him is not motivation. It's part of his life because he saw the results of how he got healthier. And so that's what I focus on. And then everything else eventually will take care of itself, but focus on the right things, focus on the right progress. And not only will you feel good about yourself, but you'll want to continue.
So if people want to find out more about your approach, so you've got the 432 playbook, and you've also written the book I referenced right at the beginning of the interview, Taking Control of Your Body Before It Takes Control of You. So where do people go to find the books, find out more about you? How do people work with you?
You can beat the website is youcanbeatabc.com. And once you go to that website, it's all there for you. I share my journey, my pictures, I share not all of them, but a lot of them, is because I want people to understand that I know where you are. I know how you feel. I know where you feel mentally. And I share here are the things that I did in order to change my life. And I feel like I know that I've changed my life for the better. I no longer have those feelings. And so I want to fast forward people through that, take them from the things that I learned that it took 3 years of me studying and learning. I'm going to fast forward that, make it much simpler, much faster for them, and build their lifestyle program for them. So, but that's where they can find me.
Brilliant. And you're living proof that this works, having come from a place, as you said, of kind of feeling hopeless, losing your mother and that place in your life.
I do post updated pictures because people will still judge progress, unfortunately, by physical appearance. And so I do want to motivate people that way. So I will post my pictures of me from where I was and where I am physically now, and share as much information I can share to help people get there, because that feeling of hopelessness is a miserable place to be. And I don't ever want anyone ever to be there ever again, or show them a path. And here's the thing. Once you start the process, you feel good about yourself, and your confidence and your love for yourself soars long before you get to the finish line. And that's the beauty of it. You have fun and you feel great and you love everything about this long before you get there. And that's the beauty of it that people are missing. And so I want to give them that.
Thank you, Jonathan. That's a really great place, I think, to finish our chat. That's so motivating. And I think a lot of guys listening to this are going to take inspiration from you, your story. And we'll put in the show notes, we'll put links to the book and all the other information that you've referenced today. Thank you, Jonathan.
You're welcome. Philip, thank you so much for having me. I really, really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Midlife Men podcast with me, Philip Briscoe. If you want to find out more about Jonathan, the 432 program, and his book, Take Control of Your Body Before It Takes Control of You, then visit his website, youcanbeatabc.com, and we'll also put that link in the show notes. As ever, to help raise the profile of the podcast, it really helps if you can review the show, and please share it with your networks and people you think would benefit from listening. If you've got a story to tell and you'd like to share it, then please do contact me through the website, mid-lifemen.com.
As well. The worst thing you can do is just kind of hide in the shadows. Even if you feel like you look like a homeless person, you haven't showered, you're gross, like try not to hide, because it really helps. And also you can feed off the energy of other people. Like it really, you feel like you just want to crawl up into a ball and die, but like that doesn't make you feel better, you know.
Great, thank you. If people want to find out more about you and the book, where do they go?
Yeah, so the Damaged Goods is on Amazon. Make sure Damaged Goods by John Colbert. There's a few Damaged Goods. I think one's like a erotic book. Nine's not that book. That's not my book. But yeah, Damaged Goods by John Colbert. It's on Amazon. It's on Barnes and Noble, I believe, as well. You can follow me on social. It's Colbert. That's just kind of do some stuff on the silly stuff on the side. But for my book, that's on Amazon. Which
brilliant. Okay, well I'll put the links in the show notes. John, thank you. Thanks so much for kind of lifting the lid on a topic that's normally quite difficult to talk about. And I love the way that you've brought humour into what's commonly quite a serious, dark topic, and for good reason. So thank you, John.
No, I mean, thank you for having me. This was great. These questions were awesome. So I really appreciate it.